My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together and make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
This might take a while.
Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito. Welcome back to the workshop.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
In this week's episode, we thought we'd do something a little bit different because it's my mum's birthday, so we don't have as many days to work on the car this week. So instead, oh, by the way, polish the centre caps on the wheels.
Yep.
How smart do they look? Right. But because it's my mum's birthday, we don't have as many days to work on the car as we usually would. So Miriam has compiled a list of your questions from the comments. And you're going to ask them us, aren't you?
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
So the first question I'm going to ask these two are you going to put a turbo on the K series?
On the K series?
Serious.
No.
No, definitely not.
No. It would completely destroy the balance of the car. Not only would it add weight to the heavy end, which obviously you don't want weight on the heavy end, but the car's designed to oversteer into a four-wheel slide, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the limit, it is designed to be super progressive, and it is designed to be super comfy on the limit and be able to slide it around rather than it being super snappy. And obviously, a power band with turbo lag isn't compatible with that kind of driving, and so you'd have to make it understeer.
Yeah, the good thing is if you got a load of boost in one big dollop mid corner, then it's just you're going to go through the hedge backwards.
Yeah, we'd have to make it understeer, and the whole point of this chassis is mid-corner speed. It is designed to carry speed massively. Now, there are other cars, other mid-engine cars on YouTube that are K-swapped, on the K20 powered and K24 powered and turbocharged, and they have the same power to weight as Mosquito. We just don't need it. And it's the McLaren F1 thing. If you make a car light enough, then you don't have to deal with the heat issues and you don't have to deal with the extra fuel load.
Yeah.
And so everything is better. Everything is lighter. Everything, like the response from the car becomes better so that you can run softer springs, softer shocks, everything. And this car is designed to be soft and responsive. Everything about it is response. And so, yeah, it's just incompatible with a turbo, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the next question is, what's the plan for the exhaust system?
So we're going to make a fully custom stainless steel exhaust. We're going to make it all ourselves, from the manifold, from the header to the exhaust tailpipe.
And it's got to fit in some very tight packaging, but K-series engines respond to airspeed really well, which is why they turbo so well. And we're very fortunate in that we can package an exhaust manifold that has a straight tube straight out of the head. So it has very little restriction to it, which I'm hoping.
Yeah, on the standard Civic, because basically as soon as it comes out of the head, it's got to turn really quickly. Whereas we can, because we've got the space we can have much longer.
We can have a more formula-style manifold, can't we? And we can basically straight out the head. There's no direct bend, which the closer to the back of the valve a restriction is, be it a turbo, be it an exhaust bend, be it whatever, the more power that your exhaust gases lose, basically, and they lose it into the bend and they lose it in the restriction, don't they? Whereas we can have a super free-flowing exhaust manifold, which is not something that you can have in a front-engine K-swapped car because they usually have McPherson strut suspension, so you've got a strut tower there, so like K-swapped 86s and stuff like that can't do it. You can't do it in a K-swapped Lotus Elise because there's a rear chassis bulkhead there, and you can't do it in a Civic because in an EP3 there's a steering rack there, and on a later Civic there's the firewall. But we can have beautiful, straight, like curving tubes straight out of the head, which should give us some serious power. And I'm a huge fan of the K series, but I don't like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
And so our mission is going to be make the best sounding K series.
Yeah. If we can make a K series sound like a BDA,
Which is a Cosworth 4-cylinder, if you're unfamiliar, from the 80s, yeah?
yeah.
It was the one that went in all the Ford Escort RS 1800s, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think it can. I think
it's the same engine from the Cosworth, the Cosworth Sierra.
I think by it's not. Is that not the YB?
Yeah, but it's the same basic engine.
Is it? I think because it's a more efficient engine, I do think like the B18 and the B16 Honda engines sound a lot like the BDA.
Yeah.
I don't think we can have it sound like a BDA. I just think that because it's a square engine and because it's got equal stroke to bore.
Yeah.
I think it's too efficient to sound good, and less efficient engines sound better. I'm not an Audi fan, as many of you know, but the old Audi 5-cylinders sound better than the new Audi 5-cylinders because it's a less free-flowing head, so it sounds better. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Whereas more efficient engines tend to sound like that Gordon Murray Cosworth V12, like everything sounds like a Formula engine, because when you squeeze all the efficiency out of something, obviously that's what they're trying to do in Formula One, isn't it? They're trying to squeeze all the efficiency out of an engine. So the more efficient your engine becomes, the less throaty and raw it sounds, and the more Formula it sounds. And I think we might end up just embracing the Formula scream and going full bore with that. But it will have silencers. I don't like a massively loud exhaust.
Yeah, and it will have a race cat.
It will have a cat on it. And like I say, I don't like loud exhausts because all the best sounds in an engine come out the intake, come out the intake, but are produced by the intake, are they not? A loud exhaust just tell people that you don't want to know you're coming, that you're coming. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I am really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
With the exhaust system and how it will sound and all that.
Let's face it, the engine's right behind my head.
Yeah.
Or our head. And so it doesn't need to be very loud because it's right there.
I agree in that, yeah.
As long as it sounds nice.
Yeah.
You know, there's good music and there's loud music, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
But at least you're travelling away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the next question is, what color are you going to paint the car?
Well, we narrowed it down to 2 colours.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I can tell you what colours we're not going to paint it. It's definitely not going to be purple.
But which color spectrum, towards...
Not telling you. Not telling you.
No.
Not telling you. It has to be a colour that looks really good with curves. Because, I know it doesn't look like it now, but this car is going to have some seriously voluptuous curves. It's going to be astounding looking. The arches are going to be incredible, but they are going to be very curvy. So we want to show off the curves, but at the same time, we don't want a dark colour, which is a bit like saying you want a loose-fitting suit that shows off your figure. It doesn't really exist. Dark colours show curves, and light colours flatten curves.
Yeah. So if it was white, for instance, it'd just look like blank.
It would still look good. It'll look good no matter what colour we paint it. But you wouldn't see the curves the same. And if you want to experience this yourself, you can Google Muras and Ferrari Dinos because they made the Ferrari Dino in every single colour known to man,
including a purple one, and it looks horrible.
In purple, a Ferrari Dino looks like a kit cart of itself. It's not good. But a white Ferrari Dino just looks completely flat.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, I believe in removing yourself and your own personal taste from a car and just clothing the car in what it looks good in.
Yeah.
And so it will be whatever the car looks best in, whether it's my personal favourite car colour ever or not. That doesn't really matter. What matters most is what it looks best in.
No, I do agree. Certain cars look better in a certain colors than other, and you have to go in that. Spectrum. In that way. Yeah.
There's a 275 GTB in midnight blue, and it looks absolutely astounding. Do I like midnight blue? Dad does.
I do. My favourite car colour.
Right. I like it on a Ford Model T. Other than that, not really. But on the 275 GTB 4 cam, it is the best colour, and that's it. I'll show you pictures afterwards.
I know.
It's the best colour. No, it does. It looks astounding, and I will hold my hand up and say that is the best colour for that car. There is another colour, but it's not that one.
Yep.
It's the best colour for that car is midnight blue. Anyway.
It's like little cars look amazing in pastel colors.
Yeah, and bright
stuff
colours,
like that, because you want them to pop.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question. What will you be doing after Project Mosquito?
I'll let you take this one.
Well, that's a little bit undecided at the moment. We will be doing another project straight afterwards. That goes without saying. We're not stopping. Once this car's finished, we will be moving on straight onto the next project.
We have a list of stuff that we've always wanted to build, and this YouTube channel is our excuse to build it. The project I'd like, it won't be the same thing as this, but for Dad.
Nope.
I can guarantee that, because we're next to our neighbours, and so we share the workshop, we share the garage, and we share the cars. I mean, when you took your engine out of your Diane, and I repainted all the chassis, you just drove my car for a few weeks. It's really not a big deal. The keys are there, and it doesn't even have to ask. Like, the same thing goes for this. It's our car collectively, and it's not like you can only drive so many cars at once.
Yeah.
It's like trousers. You can only not that we share trousers, but you know what I mean. Yeah. You can only wear one pair of pants at once, and so the keys are there, and if Dad wants to take it, he can take it. But it won't be the same thing, and it won't be similar either, because we've said loads of times there's no point having
two cars that do the same thing.
Yeah, a garage full of the same car.
Yeah.
It will be very, very different. There is a project we'd love to do that has not really ever been done the way that we want to do it, and I can't say too much about it because I don't want to give the game away, and I don't want anyone else to do it before us, but it will all hang on us being able to get one. I'm good at finding things, but it will all hang on us being able to get one, and I'll leave it at that. But it'll be completely different. It couldn't be more different if it tried from this. Different era, different inspiration, different everything. But all right.
I'm very excited for the next project. So the next question. Are you concerned about the fuel tank being in front?
Not at all. In fact, it couldn't be in a safer place. It's sat in its own crash protection box.
Well, the thing is, it's in the exact same place as it is in a Porsche 911 or a Porsche Boxster or a Porsche Cayman. And nobody has any qualms about driving those quickly. The reality is that you're more likely to get run in the back of and rear-ended than you are to run into something. I don't plan on crashing this thing into a pole anyway, but I know nobody ever plans on crashing full stop.
Well, I say, but this, because it's so light, the car will stop incredibly quickly. So you are more likely to be run into the back of.
Yeah. We have 46 centimetres of crash absorbing radiator ducting in the front of the car ahead of the fuel tank to slow things down. We have to have a crash absorbent area at the front. At the rear, we have the boot space with the exhaust and all that. That's our rear crash area. And like Dad says, it will stop incredibly quickly.
And fiberglass is 6 times better at absorbing impact than the equivalent steel panel.
Yeah, and when this front bonnet area is locked down, it will be locked down, as well as the front suspension also being crash absorbing as well.
Yeah.
Because the front of the front tires is ahead of the fuel tank. That's super important. And so yeah, much like a 911 or a Cayman, it's in pretty much the same situation. Yeah. They have a bulkhead in front of the fuel tank, just the same.
Yeah. But their fuel tank's much higher, whereas ours is set really low down.
Yeah, the wing mirror of a 911 is above the roof line of Mosquito when it's at ride height. Currently, it's riding very high because it's got no weight in it, obviously. But when it's all said and done, and we put it on its final springs and all that kind of thing, then a 911 wing mirror would be above it. So if you think the entire roof structure of a 911 is above our little Mosquito, and the fuel tank's kind of up here somewhere on the 911 in comparison to Mosquito. So yeah, we've got mega handling, we've got mega stopping, we've got mega safety. And so yeah. Right. Anything else, Dad?
No, that's it.
Okay, so next question. Why don't you talk about the data?
What are you going to compare it to?
Yeah, there's nothing.
I could give you pages of numbers. What?
But they're not relevant to any other car, they're only relevant to this one.
No, we've just been talking about 911s, right? Now, as we all know, momentum is mass times by velocity, yeah? And so...
So basically weight times speed.
Yeah. And so Mosquito, in its finished weight, will weigh a McLaren F1 less than a 911 Turbo. An entire McLaren F1. So when it brakes from 60 miles an hour, it has to brake a McLaren F1 less than a 911 Turbo to stop in the same distance from a legal speed, yeah. Right? So the braking is completely different. The suspension is completely different. A lot of people compare Mosquito to Caymans and Boxsters, but they're McPherson strut. They're also up here somewhere and weigh over 300k for the lightest ones.
And MX-5 more.
Yeah. No, it's 300 and something kilos. I think it is 347. Yeah, for like an RS4 or whatever they're called. Yeah, but it's still a third more car. But they're McPherson strut. They're a completely different animal. They're loads longer. The loads taller. They're a completely different thing. The problem with this car, for us designing this car, is that there's nothing like it.
There's nothing to compare it to. You can't even compare it to like an aerial atom, because the aerial atom is, the aerodynamics are terrible.
Yeah, it has.
There's nothing to compare it to.
It has the aerodynamics for small Shetland cottage. There's an aerial atom, whereas Mosquito's all silky smooth. And so a supercharged aerial atom and Mosquito will be as fast as each other. They weigh the same, but the atom struggles over 120 miles an hour, whereas this thing won't. And so we don't need this. We don't need the supercharger. And so it's less weight on the heavy end after all, and we've got better handling. So
you've got to think like an aerial atom or a Caterham, the front mudguards.
Well, the entire front wheels are exposed.
Yeah, the entire front wheels are exposed, and the front mudguards are literally parachutes.
Yeah, every single tube on an aerial atom catches wind and catches drag, and anywhere you can get air stuck is just a massive drag point. It's why my 2CV is only as quick as it is, even though it's only 18 horsepower. It's got a horrible drag coefficient because around the headlights, between the headlights and the wings, the air just gets stuck. And there's a reason why like carbon fibre Tour de France racing bikes look like they do. Yeah. And they now put big wide forks on them that go either side of the wheel and have a big gap so that they can let the air through rather than it getting stuck. There's nothing to compare it to. So we could give you a lot of numbers, but they'd just be utterly useless. I mean, camber, camber on this is completely different to camber on almost anything else. If you've got a McPherson strut car, you need a load of camber because the second your wheel hits a bump, it's going to lose a load of camber. But also, McPherson strut cars with 13-inch wheels tend not to be very good unless you put really big tyres on them.
Yeah.
Because then you've got no anti-dive in your suspension, which is why a Ford Cortina, like if you watch Life on Mars, is that Cortina GXL?
Yeah.
When you watch that thing brake hard and the front bumper nearly hits the road, it's like, it is. No, it's embarrassing. But it's because it's like on a later like Fiesta or something, you've got big wheels, and so your bottom wishbone is up near the bottom of the engine block, so you can tilt that wishbone slightly, get it to aim at your point of mass in the car, your centre of mass, and then you've got anti-dive.
Yeah.
But like that's almost nothing
but
to do with this.
We've got anti-dive in this, but other than the MX-5 Miata suspension that we're using is completely different setup than it is on a Miata.
Yeah, the geometry is completely different. We actually struggled with anti-dive because we had way too much automatically because of how low the mass is in the car.
And on the MX-5 Miata, you've also got a big 4-cylinder engine there.
Yeah, it's a completely different kettle of fish from almost anything. And so there's no point just throwing jargon at you, throwing maths at you, throwing CAD drawings at you that don't actually mean anything in the real world. And like I said, this posed a problem for us because we've got no reference and there's no how-to thing for building this. There's no...
Like even spring rates, we're going to have to do a massive shakedown to sort out spring rates.
Yeah.
Because there's no go-to to go to.
Yeah. A lot of the inspiration for this car came from like Formula cars and Formula hill climb cars and stuff like that because there's nothing. But it all had to be pre-aero, like pre-wings, because wings change everything and obviously no wings. So yeah, we don't throw numbers at you because it would be pointless. It would sound good, but it would be pointless.
So the next question. Are you going for a digital gauge cluster?
Definitely not.
I'm dyslexic. And that washes with you a lot, but it doesn't necessarily wash with the policeman. Sorry, officer, I didn't realise. I'm dyslexic. It's very easy for me to see a needle on a gauge and know how fast I'm going without looking at the numbers. You don't need to see a number to know how fast you're going. You know where it is, and you shift here and you slow down there. That's all you need to know. And
the thing is, unless like the ref count is the same. If you orientate your ref counter around, so when the needle's straight up, you're at 8,500 revs or 8,800.
Old rally tricks.
Right? So you don't need shift lights. Because if you can glance down, as soon as that needle is straight up, vertical, then you know you're at your maximum RPM.
Yeah.
Analog gauges.
Don't get me wrong, digital gauges, they are lighter and all that kind of thing. And so if our ultimate aim was to build the ultimate lightest, weightest track thing ever, yeah. But this car's got to be light and beautiful. And gauges are they're like watches, like they're one of the most beautiful things in your car, and you sit there and you spend most of the life that you have hopefully with your car staring at the gauges and not staring at the car. So the thing that you spend all the time looking at has to be beautiful, in my opinion.
In fact, one of the nicest gauge clusters is in the Renault Alpine A110.
What, the original one?
The original one
with the teal gauges.
Yeah.
What's it? Matra Bagheera had a very similar teal. I think they were Jaeger as well. Yeah. But we can't. I want to use factory gauges, but I'm not telling you what they're from. But there will be minimal, and because the other thing is I don't want 1 million gauges because you can't pay attention to them anyway. And so we'll have speed, we'll have revs, and we'll have fuel, and everything else will be taken care of through another way. And we may have an oil light as well, because rally car. That's something that a lot of you might not be aware of, but they used to put like a little brake light.
No, you used to use an indicator, an indicator lens, usually a side repeater. which is a great, so if you do have an oil problem,
Or a 2CV brake light as well as another one.
that shines up in your car. You know about it. All right, damage is already done when that lights up, but at least you know.
It's always fun when you're watching classic rallying and you see a Porsche like hammering through the forest, and then it shows the inside of the Porsche, and there's a 2CV van, like Citroen H van, brake light on the dashboard. It's always funny.
Yeah, I do think it is a very important thing, because we love technology, and technology evolves all the time, and having it, technically instead of manually, like a clock, a watch, as you said, I do think that something that always has been there and it worked so perfectly, nothing will win it.
Well,
I think it's something so classic.
The thing is, look at how fast TVs have changed in the last 20 years, right? And nothing will age a car faster than a screen. Every single car of this era will have a screen, whereas cars have had gauges for the last 60 odd years, and it doesn't fit our vibe. Our vibe is late 60s, early 70s.
And never goes out of fashion, as I said. So the next question, why are you not keeping the sunroof?
Right, sunroofs rob headspace. We need all the space we can get.
Also, it's behind you in the car where they've put our sun. It's kind of here, and so you can't see out of it anyway. It would be good on like a track day as like an air exit, like to open it so to let hot air out. But they add thickness, they add weight to your roof, which isn't good. They add a lip, which is bad for aerodynamics. And it's just this thing needs to look clean.
Yeah,
it needs to look clean and unobstructed, and so that you focus on the right things.
Not only that, the sunroof that was fitted isn't like a double glazed one. The original one we have it upstairs.
It's from a Metro, I think.
It's just a single glazed window, and what happens is in wintertime they drip.
Yeah,
they get condensation in. You get the heater on, and it's all of a sudden.
That'd be distracting, wouldn't it?
You get dripped on.
I've never realised that.
Yeah.
Your Peugeot used to have.
Yeah.
You used to have a real 106.
A 106 diesel, yeah.
And that were fantastic. That had one of them, and they are good. They are really good for dropping your cabin temperature when it's hot. Yeah. They are superb, but it just doesn't fit the vibe of the car.
And it adds more strength as well.
No, getting rid of the sunroof?
Yeah.
Kind of. No, you need more strength in your roof panel if you have a sunroof, because it weighs. Yeah. And so when you're driving along, if your roof skin's thin, your roof skin will do this. And in a fiberglass car, it can actually boom. It can act like a big bass speaker, because you've got what is a speaker but a diaphragm with a weight in it. Yeah. And so it can actually be really boomy and awful. A lot of older racing cars that had Kevlar roofs, they used to go boom. All of a sudden, and they'd scare the life out of you. And it adds a load of messing around that I don't want to do, and it ruins the clean look of the car as well.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so the next question: are you having an engine cover?
A Perspex engine cover?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was Perspex, and we changed it to engine.
All right. Right. We're having an engine cover.
Yes, but not in the way that you think.
The original GTM engine cover obviously does not fit anymore, and so we need to make a new engine cover. And if you've got it, flaunt it. And we just happen to have 2 litres of pretty in the back of the car, so you've got to show it off, haven't you?
Yeah, you have to. Such a beautiful thing. You have to show it out. Okay. Next question. Have you thought about what your first journey after the build will be?
Well, the thing is, we've got loads of great roads directly around us. We don't need to go far, but I'd like to take it around the Alps.
Our local circuit is Circuit Sherrard, which Sterling Moss called the most beautiful circuit. Was it in the world or in Europe? I can't remember.
In the world, I think.
Right. It's gorgeous. And it's nestled in the hills just outside of Clermont-Ferrand, which is where Michelin is based. So a run out that way might be nice.
Yeah. We'd have to do a track day there.
Yeah, it might be nice to shake it down, to kind of go over it really well and do a track day there. And yeah, that would be a nice beginning. Because that's the thing, when this car is finished, it's not an end, it's the beginning. This car will have, well, the joy, in fact, of building a car like this is you get to go through it afterwards and you get to do all of the things and you get to make it handle just perfectly. And we want to take you on that journey as well, don't we?
Yeah.
It's not a trailer queen that's just going to like get sent to a car show and then be at a car show. This thing's designed to be driven, and that means that we want to actually go through the process of getting the handling spot on, getting the tyres spot on. You know, we went with these CF2s to begin with because they're cheap. No, they're cheap and they don't have a lot of grip, and so they wouldn't hide imperfections in the handling. But there's a bigger diameter back tyre that I want to try out as well. There's a wider back tyre that I'd like to try. There's a bunch of things that we'd like to try, and nailing the alignment and all that kind of thing. We're gonna need some circuit time, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I think a trip to Sherrard would be nice.
Yeah, I do think the mantra of our cars, I personally, with our cars, we want to drive them.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to just have them in the garage and dusty and stuff. You want to drive them and experience them and stuff. And
It's why it's so important that the car fits you as well as me.
yeah.
Because you drive the stuff as well.
Yeah, I do love driving. And
I've never understood people who don't let their partners drive the cars and stuff like that. Some people do, don't they?
Yeah,
I don't.
and it's not right, eh?
No. So it will take. There'll be a teething process, won't there?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's it. That's the last question.
Oh, is it? Oh, no, not the last question. How dare you, madam?
No.
So, Miriam,
Yeah.
a question for you. Yeah, what's this feel like? Eh? Right. So,
I would never say.
Miriam, why don't you film more close-ups during the video?
Okay,
Sorry, I'll hold the camera.
Okay, it is a very interesting question for me because I tried to, the really deep reason about having the shots a bit far away is because we've spoiled so many cameras by zooming in when we drill.
Hang on, we've?
The royal we. So we've spoiled the camera, but apart of that, I do think and I do believe that by zooming out, we want to bring a feeling of you all are with us in the workshop and going through the project with us.
Yeah, you come in every week. You come in and hang out with us in the workshop for a while.
So if you just zoom in all the time, you don't have that experience of being with you two and being here and having a cup of tea and going through the project and stuff.
And when Dad's working, you can see me working in the background and stuff like that. And
Yeah, and I think you have to have a balance of in and zoomed in shots, because if you just zoom in and you show everything through the process, so what's the point to the end result?
You also miss the bigger picture.
I do love making the beauty shots and showing the end result of the whatever we're doing. So if you just show everything, so.
Yeah, what's the point of sitting to the end of the video?
To the end of the video, and then in the end you can see the beauty shots and stuff like that.
Thank you. So,
Is that all right?
yeah, you did very well. So, I'd like to say a big thank you to everybody who's watched this video, and to our Patreon supporters, Alex Bottomley, Andy Wood, and Doug Scott. Did I remember it right?
Yeah.
I did it. I don't know, why do I always have to do the Patreon thing? Because I'm the one person that can't remember anybody's name. I used to have a friend years ago, Tony, and Tony, a bit of a legend. and he had a memory issue. In fact, I bought when in the previous videos when we've mentioned the fact that I had a little yacht, I bought my yacht off Tony, and Tony was an older gentleman, and when he was younger, he got hit by a London taxi, yeah, and so he had a memory issue, and one day he says to me, Oliver, look, there's a trick to this, remembering people's names. You only have to remember the names of women. He said, every bloke is sir, oi, mate, bud. He said, that's easy. He said, no man's ever going to get upset at you if you call him sir. He said, but women get really upset if you don't remember the names. So could we have some more female Patreon members is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. You help us make these videos and mean that we can make what we love making rather than trying to chase an algorithm. It's massive.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's liked, commented and subscribed on this video, and don't forget to leave a mosquito emoji down in the comments if you've
and
made it this far.
don't forget to press the bell icon, then you get notified when these videos go up.
Please be awesome to each other, and we'll see you all
in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.